How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Shebeen. It's Sunday night. Hi to Lauren and Anthony joining us tonight, and I'll drink in our glass. You're all very welcome. We are talking Irish whiskey experiences tonight, whiskey buses and bonders and boats and islands and all kinds of things. So let us know what's in your glass, what you're drinking, and we're going to have a good night ahead of chat and crack around a bit of whiskey tourism. Lauren, what's in your glass tonight?
So I have a big pint of Guinness and a wee McConnell's 5-year.
Oh, fair play. Starting off strong. Anthony, what do you got in your glass?
Pint of stout and Dunville's 10-year-old Palo Cortado. Palo Cortado cask, cracking one from Dunville's as well. Mighty.
JJ Corrie, Cliffs of Moher, malt PX finish. And no pint, but a little Pepsi Max here, which is my closest thing to a pint that I've got to hand. I won't be taking any questions at this time.
It's the right colour anyway.
It's the right colour. It is indeed. Wherever you're joining us from, we'd love to know what you're drinking. Tom D has got Powers John's Lane on his porch. I hope it's in your glass as well as on your porch. And Richard has a drop of the Palace Bar Dingle in honour of the Wild Atlantic Way. Good man, Richard. And Jennifer has a drop of Redbreast PX in Freeport, Maine. A lovely drop of whiskey altogether. Chris is joining us from Fort Myers, and she's drinking Uish Ahaskra in honour, perhaps, of our Wild Atlantic Way whiskey bus as well that's coming up. And Mark says that UPS says my Stories and Sips Killoan gets here tomorrow. Excellent. Jeff's got Killoan coconut rum, PX finish in the glass. Fair play. Hi to you, Jeff. Good to see you. And, we got lots coming in here. Maharafelt, Richard and Maharafelt is joining us. Hi, Richard. Ted from DC has a drop of Egan's Fortitude, single malt. Lovely. Julie's got an Irish Mule with Powers. You know what makes a lovely cocktail is a Powers Rye Old Fashioned. Lovely cocktail. Lovely cocktail. Good evening, Amy is joining us in Phoenix or in Arizona, and Redbreast Lustow in the glass. Roy Healy's got Loch Mask in Wexford. Richard's got Bushmills Pomerol. Jeez, we could go on and on all night. And Jeff Timmy's got a bit of JJ Corrie Gale. Woo, fair play to you. It's quite the gamut of whiskies there. No one else has got a Pepsi Max, strangely. Sure, look.
There's a thirst tonight, all right, by the sounds.
There's a thirst. Anthony, how are things in the pub? Clearly, you're in the pub now. I can see the background. It's a quiet pub tonight.
It is, yeah. We do get them cleared out early on a Sunday night. We're not a late house, so we're not one of these typical Irish pubs that serve until perhaps beyond the licensing hour limits. We would consider ourselves an early house. So once closing time goes, we close up. And people have got to know that we're a year open next Saturday. JJ Sheehy's is a year open anyhow, next Saturday night. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I remember the rush we had last year to get it. I mean, the goal was for us, we knew we were going to be coming here on the whiskey bus. So we wanted to get open in advance of that and to sort of have any troubleshooting or teething with draft or with whiskies or with fridges or anything like that. And even for ourselves, I mean, from myself, Katie, Joshua, we hadn't stood behind a bar in anger in many years, or Joshua ever. So it was to try and get ourselves accustomed to serving pulling pints again. And it was a baptism of fire because obviously the local parish came out in force to support us. And we got ready for the whiskey bus. So that was the challenge we had. So we done it, as I say, but it's mad to think. I mean, we're now talking about Whiskey Bus 2, but it's mad to think it was a year ago since Whiskey Bus 1, and now look what it's grown to become. And we were joined by herself and the boss now, as we all refer to her as, and look what we've kicked it on to become.
That's it. You made it look easy when we got there for the Whiskey Bus 1. You'd think, I'm sure it was the whole swan or the duck floating along the pond theory, but it looked seamless and very graceful on top of the pond.
I suppose the thing is the size. I mean, the size lends itself to, you're never truly swamped. I mean, you're busy, And I remember in our early days, I mean, we were just, getting accustomed to, even for me, I don't know whether it's old and senile, but it's remembering orders, and people would come at you and they go, I want this and this and this and this. And you'd serve the first one, and then you go, and what was the other one again? And Jameson us and a pint of who? But look, we've got back to it, and it's good. It's thriving now. It's been a good year for us, and look, locals continue to come in, so that's the greatest compliment we could have.
Lauren, have you ever worked behind the bar?
I've actually never worked behind a bar, no, which I thought would be a bit of a challenge. It kind of concerned me slightly when I started as an ambassador in the on-trade, because so many other BAs and ambassadors across Ireland had done a stint behind the bar at one time or another. That was kind of their kind of beginning of their career. But the only bar I've ever worked in was the bar in Bushmills, which doesn't count because you were just serving whiskey and beer from a bottle. So no, never.
And anybody who joined us a few months ago or a few weeks ago to see when we were in JJ Sheehy's pub will now realise, or it'll become obvious that Lauren had not worked in a pub before, based on the pints that she put in front of us that had more bubbles than a deep sea diver needed to stay alive.
I am going to have to redeem myself with this. And also, I didn't hear any complaints on the night when you were actually drinking the pints. They were still consumed. So
we drank it out of a bucket or a boot at that stage. Lauren, you've been busy over the past couple of weeks as well. So it's been a busy few weeks. So Lauren joined us, what was it, 2 months ago now, Lauren? 2.5 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, about 2 months ago, I think tomorrow. Yeah, scary.
Time has flown, and the last few weeks have been a big ramp up to get ready for tonight, really, which is also officially putting a stake in the ground and saying the three of us came together from three different parts of the world of Irish whiskey, and decided to come up with this mad idea of providing behind the scenes experiences and Irish whiskey adventures and tours and trips and all kinds of interesting and fun diversions into the world of whiskey together. And the last few weeks have been a mad scramble to get everything online, up, running, ready for tonight to launch the Whiskey Bus 3 and to talk about the other experiences. It's been a lot, hasn't it, Lauren?
It has, yeah. And it was at the start, it was all fine and well when you were contacting brands, reaching out to brands, distillers, blenders, so on and so forth. And it was great fun arranging the experiences. And then we realized we actually have to put these on a website and build out a website. So you had the initial hurdle of kind of bringing everything together to create really unique experiences. And then we had the hurdle of getting everything fine-tuned and perfect for the website. So it's been, as you put it, Anthony, a baptism of fire, but in the best possible way, bringing everything together. And it's so satisfying now seeing the website up and seeing it live. And yeah, it's a real milestone.
So we have gone live softly there a few hours ago. We put our website up, irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. We're going to talk tonight about those experiences. Mostly we're going to focus on the Whiskey Bus to get started and walk through the itinerary of what we've got planned for next year. It barely feels like we finished taking care of Whiskey Bus number 1, but as Anthony said, that was almost a year ago now. Whiskey Bus 2 lands in 19 days' time, 20 days' time, into Dublin. We've got an amazing itinerary planned. We've still got more experiences being added to that bit by bit, a couple to announce maybe next week as well. But now we're going to talk about Whiskey Bus number 3 tonight and what that entails as we continue our journeys around Ireland on a bus. Anthony, it was March of 2022 when we had a live stream with you, me and Katie, and after 64 whiskies or 16 cask strength whiskies, we had the mad idea to do a 2-week trip around Ireland in a bus. And there was no talking us out of it at that stage of the night.
No, and it was 2 weeks, 2 weeks of non-stop debauchery. I think is the only way to describe it. Yeah. Look, it's one of them things, it's like everything I seem to do, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So we're now trying to sort of... Look, I suppose it is. We're trying to sort of change how people experience Irish whiskey. And I mean, that's the main goal of all of this. I mean, that's what we want to do. And that's how we started off this, was to let people see and experience what we do and how we sometimes get behind the scenes. So it was a drunken night. I think I had been drinking since about 8 p.m. that night, because Laurie had done, I think it was his birthday or something like that. So I'd been drinking with that, and then I joined you, and I was,
16 sheets to the wind, but the right time to be getting to sign contracts. Lauren, the last whiskey bus, Lauren, when we went up north into Bushmills and spent a lot of time in Antrim and Down and then Dublin as well, you got to see from the other side of it. So we were in the bus bringing guests around, and you got to see, being part of Bushmills at the time, the passion, the interest, the excitement for getting up close to the makers. And you could feel that passion, couldn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, just seeing people's faces when you give them something that is kind of above the usual, that will never lose its effect or its impact on me. Just giving people that experience that they kind of have to pinch themselves and go, is this actually happening to me? And I think it was one of those days, and I'm sure I know it was one of those weeks that it was kind of like, can this get any better? And yeah, it could, and it did, and it continually did improve and get better, and just all the experiences coming out of the bag throughout the week. So, and I mean, from at that time when I was still with Bushmills, I felt that the pre and post whiskey bus experience and what that did for kind of our, for mine and Alex's profiles and the engagement in the Irish Whiskey Fans of America group and on social media in general, there was such a distinct difference pre and post. It was more tags, more comments, more people drinking Bushmills. So, we do what we do because we love it, but we also want to support the brands and bring the brands to more people. And you really, really felt that difference as a result of the bus.
Anthony, you've been driving around Ireland for the last few years with Irish whiskey auctions, picking up whiskies and collecting drop-offs and meeting distillers and going to visit whiskey brand homes. And you've probably seen the same thing I've seen, which is as the whiskey industry has grown, you've been given a chance, I've been given a chance, everyone's been given a chance to see just how good Ireland can do things when it comes to food, drink, experience, welcome. And last whiskey bus and our involvement in the world of whiskey on the ground in Ireland has really opened my eyes over the past few years to just what an amazing product Ireland is from a whiskey food destination standpoint.
But that's it, and most of them are coming from a pure. You can see it in the people when they talk about it. It's coming from a passionate point of view. I mean, it's their job. It's like what we experienced with Lauren and Alex. I mean, there's nobody, I think, could have looked at the experience that we had up there and just said, these people are just doing their job. They were above and beyond. And I mean, that just comes when people love doing what they do. And everyone we talked to, they love being part of this community that we built, that it's grown to become. And I mean, it all comes from, even when the big players or when the smaller distilleries are setting up, that the big players are sort of engaging with them and saying, look, here's some of the things we've learned over the years, if you want to implement them. And you can see that when we get the sort of the access that we get, is they're proud to show off what they do. They're only too happy to show off what they do, because look, we've always said that, like, on days like St. Patrick's Day, you see Ireland punching well above beyond its weight. And in the whiskey world, I mean, how can we be, holding our own with the Scotch and with bourbon and with Japanese whiskey when we're such a little island in the middle of the North Atlantic? It's crazy, but the quality shows and it shines through. So exactly.
The experiences we're trying to provide are, I was thinking about it earlier, they're selfishly the things we want to do, and they're selfishly what the kind of the craic, which is this phrase which may be lost on some people, and we probably need to qualify. Like, craic is just this almost undescribable word that refers to the fun, the laughter, the devilment, the madness that can only happen in Ireland and around an Irish person or three. And it's something that we live by naturally in Ireland, looking for the crack. Every situation, you're looking for the crack. You're looking for the fun. You're looking for the humor in it. And that's something we've tried to figure out. How do you infuse that into experiences so that they're bigger than just throw people onto a bus and drop, and sterilely bring them from one place to the next? Like, there has to be an element of the crack economy, the crack culture that goes with everything. Lauren, you've been seeking that out for the experiences as well that we've been putting together.
Oh, absolutely. At the heart of every Irish person, there is this desire to always seek out the crack and a bit of fun and a bit of sneakiness, a bit of added something. It's just in our DNA. So obviously, at the heart of what we do and our aim, our vision is to ultimately highlight the incredible Irish whiskey brands, Irish distilleries, blenders, coopers, distillers, whoever that might be, go beyond the liquid in the glass. But at the same time, alongside that education, we have the parallel of the crack and the fun along the way, because you will learn more and you will remember more if you have a bit of fun while you're doing something. It's just natural. It's how most people learn. If it's fun, it's interactive, it's educational. So the two definitely go hand in hand, the education and the crack, without a doubt.
Why don't we talk a little bit about Whiskey Bus number 3? Because it's what we've been working on for the past couple of months, and we've been tidying up experiences and details and dates, etc. I'm going to put up on the screen, first of all, our website, just kind of walk you through. We'll pull the Whiskey Bus piece up from there. But let me see here. Make sure I got the right one. There we go. Okay, so our website is irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. You're going to find a growing list of all of our experiences, whether you want to spend a few hours or, in the case of Whiskey Bus, 7 or 8 days with us on various experiences. We've got different things that we'll walk through a little bit later with you, but it's all there on irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. Feel free to check it out a little bit later, and we'll walk through some of our experiences. We've also got lots of coming soons that we're working on that we can talk through and hint at a little bit later on. And so that's irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. I'll stick that link up there as well. But the first thing we want to dive into is Whiskey Bus number 3. It's our signature. Irish whiskey experiences will always be built around a number of whiskey buses, and Whiskey Bus 3 is the first one, Lauren, you've helped plan. So if nobody likes it, we will point to you and nobody else. Is that fair? Or
I remember, Barry, I screenshotted a comment from you that I somehow managed to stumble across in the group, saying something like, when you hire more people, there's more people to blame. So I'll remember that one.
That's correct. Yeah. So in March 2024, we're going to welcome our first ever non-August Whiskey Bus to Ireland, our first West Coast Whiskey Bus to Ireland, and we have an amazing itinerary planned. And Lauren, I wonder if you might care to walk us through a little bit. Would you like me to put it up from the website or maybe from the slides? What would you prefer?
Well, we go for the website for now, and then we can go through the slides maybe, because the itinerary now is on there. Perfect. Okay. So yes, as you said, Barry, we are going out west. You'll soon pick up the dialect and the lingo if you join us and head out there. So we are, I don't want to say avoiding Dublin in a bad way. Anthony, you'll probably say, yes, we are avoiding Dublin. So this will be this will be in and out of Shannon. So we're not incorporating Dublin this time at all, like we will do in a few weeks' time, and we did last year. So we will be west of the whole week. So the bus will take us from Limerick to Galway and our final stop to Westport. And the day you arrive, so Friday, it's a Friday, so Friday the 15th of March 2024. And that will be the welcome, bring everybody in, greet everyone. And the first night there, which I think is amazing, is a dinner and a tasting in Napog Castle. So the team at Middleton, and in particular Dave McCabe, the Middleton blender, has been so kind to lend us the castle for the night to have a dinner. So we'll be dining like kings and queens and drinking even better than kings and queens. And one of the tastings, which I think is unbelievable, and Barry, in fairness, I'll give credit to you for this particular one, was we will be cracking open a bottle of Napogue 1951, a 36-year-old whiskey, which is just amazing.
We will. It'll be an incredible night to drink Napo Castle, any expression in the home where it was dreamed up and where Mark Edwin Andrews and his wife Livone lived for many years and restored this castle to its glory, donated it eventually to the Irish people. We're going to get a chance to go inside and have a bite to eat and drinks and be lords and ladies for a night. So it's going to be a great evening, and what a welcome. And this year our Whiskey Bus 2 in Dublin, we're going to have a great welcome reception at Pierce Lyons Distillery, and now in Whiskey Bus number 3 our welcome reception is in the hallowed grounds of Napo Castle, not far from Limerick. We're always trying to bring you castles. Like once we started down this castle road, we couldn't stop. But that's a great first night.
Great first night. The best we can do for now is dine and drink in a castle. And in case it wasn't clear enough, Dave will actually join us for that night as well. And he will be there leading the tasting of Napogue, and obviously the star of the show being the 1951. Mark McKenzie's just asked there, is period dress required? I mean, it's a medieval castle. We're not going to judge anyone on how they show up to the door that night. We welcome all costumes and all individuality over here.
We'll tell Anthony it's period dress, but he'll dress up, and none of the rest of us will.
I'll just be the joker, or what's the court chester. I mean, I'm him anyhow, so I'll fill that role happily.
We're basing ourselves in the wonderful city of Limerick, the historic city of Limerick, for 3 nights, staying in the lovely Absolute Hotel, beautiful 4-star plus hotel right down in the heart of Limerick. And we've got some fantastic things planned for our time in Limerick too, don't we, Lauren?
We do indeed, yeah. So our first full day in Limerick will, of course, be Saturday, the 16th of March. So we're very, very lucky, and we're extremely honoured that Nick Ryan, founder of Toman Gate Whiskey, has given us his entire day. So we will be embarking on a whiskey walk of Limerick. I think many people don't realise that Limerick was, of course, it has an incredible sort of history and whiskey past, a distilling past. And of course, I guess that's what people say, the Irish coffee was created in Limerick as well. So there's loads of opportunity there, loads of pubs, really great Irish pubs. Mother Mac's is there, Flannery's of Limerick as well, fantastic Irish bars that we will be darkening the door of. We will also be having a tasting, and this is as far as I'm going to go with this, because there is a lovely surprise this day in Limerick that Nick is going to do for us. But something really special that we can talk about is we're also going to have a tasting in King John's Castle in Limerick as well. So there's 2 castles. We're doing well. 2 castles.
2 days.
2 castles.
2 days, 2 castles. Impressive.
Done. There we are.
We can leave it at that. That's it, folks. Book now.
2 castles, absolutely. And yeah, we'll have a bit of free time to explore Limerick as well. We can, as I said, go for a drink in Mother Mac's and Flannery's and so on and so forth. So really fun-filled packed day. Nick's a great guy, and he's going to be sure that we're well looked after that day, certainly.
A passionate ambassador for Limerick, a more passionate ambassador for Limerick and Limerick history and Limerick whiskey you can find. Nick is on a mission to bring distilling back to Limerick, to restore it to its distilling glory, and he knows every inch of Limerick. He grew up in the city. He can point out where he's going to at someday open a distillery, where the history comes from, all the points of interest and tastings along the way. We're going to make music a big part of this trip as well along the way. There's a lot of traditional Irish music being wrapped up into this whiskey bus as well. It's the west of Ireland. It's the home of traditional Irish music. It's a historic place, and so great to showcase Limerick, a fantastic cultural city on the west coast of Ireland as well.
Absolutely.
It's also St. Patrick's Week. I mean, one of the things that we're sort of building up to. It is the day before St. Patrick's Day. So what will be a holiday in Ireland. It'll have the Paddy's Day weekend as we know it. So there'll be live music in many, many bars, but we're also going to have bespoke experiences as well in some of the bars as well. I mean, what a weekend to be in Ireland. I mean, and loads of people dream of coming to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. How about combining a whiskey tour and Ireland for St. Patrick's Day? Doesn't get any better.
It really doesn't. And I think one of the things we've been most excited about is that we get to plan a whiskey bus around St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. We've been very busy trying to figure out how do you mark that appropriately. And Lauren, we will give you all the credit and all the honors to deliver this land plane for us, please.
Before you scroll there, Barry, okay, it's too late. Never mind. And you took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say the 16th is obviously pre-St. Patrick's Day. So St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, I mean, we love a whiskey and we love any chance to have a celebration. So St. Patrick's Day doesn't last just on the day. It's kind of sandwiched. It's bookmarked. So there'll be plenty of craic to be had, as you said, live music. There'll be a great atmosphere around the city and in Ireland in general at that time. And then on St. Patrick's Day itself, so I have named this day Founders, Floats and a Farm. And the reason being, Anthony the reason being, these two challenged me to come up with a great St. Patrick's Day, a celebration. So what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to start our day by heading to Craic, beautiful little village in West Clare, the home of J.J. Corey Irish Whiskey. Louise McGuan, just so you're aware of how excited she is for this, as every bit as much as us. Louise McGuan, founder of J.J. Corey, is usually in the US for St. Patrick's Day. She is actually staying in Ireland specifically for us and for St. Patrick's Day and for our celebrations on this day. So we will be led around the farm by her. We will have a blending experience in the Bonders blending room. We will have a bit of lunch on the farm, a chance to chat to Louise. You can ask questions to her. You can just have a very sort of casual chat with her. She will be there all day. And then we are going to have 40 people.
We're going to eat as well. Just, I want to make sure people realize.
I said lunch on the farm, don't worry. I said that. I said lunch on the farm. And then we're going to head to an even smaller village called Kilrush. And we're going to take part in a St. Patrick's Day parade. We will dress up. There will be prizes for the best dressed. And even better, we will be on the back of a branded flatbed truck with security measures in place. Don't worry, everyone will be safe. There will be security measures implemented to keep you all alive. But that's what we will be doing on St. Patrick's Day.
I've heard of the whiskey bus. I never heard of the whiskey flatbed truck.
Okay. Absolutely. Can I interject here? Can I just for clarity then? So again, Barry, we have a lot to answer for. So I think it was on one of these she-beans that me and you were talking, and we said about getting a bus into a St. Patrick's Day parade. I do remember the conversation. And we've sort of, because I was all for us in, being part of a St. Patrick's Day parade, but in the safe confines of the bus. In the parade, we decorate it with a few flags, and people, maybe we do a tasting on the bus whilst it's in the parade.
Yeah.
This fills me with fear. The concept of consuming alcohol and everybody going yippee on the back of a flatbed truck.
there's a reason our company insurance rates are very high, but we are going to have health and safety measures in place. We are going to ensure that those of infirm and elderly nature will be appropriately seated on maybe a couch or something on the back of the bus or the back of the truck.
I can assure you.
Lloyd has a comment there of flatbed truck sounds like Mardi Gras. This will be sort of like a green Mardi Gras. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Now we have mapped out the route of the St. Patrick's Day parade. It took us a long afternoon to follow the whole route because it basically just goes around a roundabout in the small town. And if I'd say you could probably do it in first gear in the truck, you wouldn't need to get out of first gear.
that was a safety precaution. The shorter the route, the less chance of anything going wrong, and it's very slow. We'll be fine.
It's one circuit of a roundabout, maybe 18 times.
During my conversations with the insurance company, I may or may not have glossed over some of the finer details of this.
This is going to be a fantastic experience. The craic, you talk about pursuing the craic, infusing it into experiences. We're driving the bus right up to the parade, getting out of it, jumping on a flatbed truck. We might give people some gold coins or something to throw off the back, or whiskey miniatures that they can throw at people from the back of the flatbed truck.
No, let's not do that, because someone will get their head cracked, and that is not what we need. We do not want to be responsible for the injuries of other parade goers.
No.
It'll be all done under the name of JJ Corrie. It'll be on their
Louise, if you're watching, we swear we'll represent you properly.
But there will be costumes for best dressed. I mean, you have to have a bit of crack. You have to have a bit of fun around St. Patrick's Day. So there will be prizes, suitable prizes for the best dressed. And those of you who have gone above and beyond for your St. Patrick's Day outfits.
I'm very excited about this. Two reasons. One day you get to blend your own whiskey with Louise McGuane. You get to visit the farm, which is, the public can't go to the farm, but they don't take tours. There's nothing you can book on the website. It's exclusive experiences like this that are going to get you there. And then we're going to go from JJ Corrie to Kilkee. Is it Kilkee or Kilrush we're going to? One of those Kills. Kilrush, okay. And okay, Kilkee is where JJ Corrie was born from, but Kilrush is the where we're going to go on the parade. But the chance to be in a St. Patrick's Day parade and tell all your friends you're participating, you might end up being the Grand Marshal. Who knows? There's probably only about 8 people in the parade anyway. So the chances, probably a rotating Grand Marshal over the course of an hour.
In Ireland, I mean, come on. It's worth the price of admission alone.
So when we finish that wonderful 3 minutes of a parade, or however long it takes, Lauren, what do we do next?
We head to Galway, so that's our final day, staying in the Absolute Hotel in Limerick, and then we're heading out to the absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, colourful, vibrant city of Galway, where we have a few surprises planned. Barry, I know you've been working on a couple of things for Galway. You've been in touch with a few people. Galway
is one of my favourite cities. I lived in Galway for a few years. I could live there again in a heartbeat. It is the beating heart of the west of Ireland. It is where music emanates from every doorway. It's where whiskey flows, pints flow. The craic is absolutely mighty. And the day after St. Patrick's Day, the streets will still be full of people. It's going to be a fantastic time in Galway. We're going to stay in Galway for 2 nights. We're going to experience a lot in Galway. Some of the details are still being finalised and being ironed out. But what I will say to you is that we're going to take full advantage of being close to a couple of distilleries that happen to be in Galway. And we do have surprises that involve local food, local music, local whiskey, and all will become clear over the next couple of weeks. But 2 amazing days in Galway. You're going to get access to the Galway Whiskey Trail. pubs like Sonny Malloy's, Garvin's, amazing locations. Then they're in the square, actually not far from the Hardiman. You've also got what's the name of the pub? O'Connell's there in the square as well, in Ayr Square. It's a fantastic city. You're a mile from the coast. Walk out the road, out the Claddagh, out to Salt Hill, and you'll see the Atlantic Ocean. The next stop is New York. It's a fantastic, fantastic city, and we're going to have 2 great days there. Fish and chips, the order of the day down the bottom of Key Street, and the Keys pub. I tell you, I get excited every time I think about going to Galway. The crack is mighty, walking from pub to pub, and we're staying right in the heart of it all, which is going to be amazing.
We are indeed. And I haven't been in Galway now in a good few years, but it's quite literally every corner you turn. And as you just said there, Barry, every single pub you walk past, you can feel the atmosphere from the streets before you actually even go in, like High Street in Galway, the colourful buildings, the atmosphere. It's such a multicultural city. You hear accents from all over the world. You can chat to so many interesting people. And it's basically a giant pub in the best possible way. It is a phenomenal city, really, really is. And being in and around it, the day after St. Patrick's Day, there will still be such an atmosphere and such an incredible vibe around the city. It'll be fantastic. I'm really, really excited to head back there.
2 new distilleries in Galway that of course will have to feature, and we'll talk more about those in the coming weeks, but we'll also have some downtime in Galway to be able to do some shopping. We'll point out where the good spots are to buy some whiskey. Just like this whiskey bus that's upcoming, we will include shipping for your whiskey bottles back to the United States, thanks to Anthony and the team at Irish Whiskey Auctions. Up to 20 regular sized bottles, we'll get them home for you. So whenever you buy a bottle of whiskey at any stop, be it on Whiskey Bus 2 or Whiskey Bus 3, you don't have to worry about lugging those bottles from hotel to hotel. We can take them from you, put them in boxes, store them on the bus, and bring them along with us from location to location, and then ship them home on the last day for you. So that's a huge peace of mind. You don't have to worry about bringing them through in your luggage and all the way through the airports. And sometimes if you're extending your trip by a few days, the whiskey will actually get home before you.
Happy to do that. I mean, I think it's probably one of the limiting factors of people really buying bottles of whiskey is the fact that they have to either try and work out the logistics of getting them home, or the concerns with customs, or with, just maybe them getting damaged in transit. So we sort of take that equation out of the issue out of the equation. Just on Galway, I mean, you've got some cracking little pubs. You've got Freeney's there on Shop Street. You've got the Buskers on Shop Street. You've got going to O'Connell's pub there on Ayr Square, which is just up the street from our hotel. And I mean, there's so many little nooks and crannies, so much memorabilia around the walls, such a huge range of whiskies. Sonny Malloy's has got now Silent Distillery 1, 2, 3, and 4 on display, so you get to see them as well. I mean, there's so many things to see in Galway. It's a great, great city.
I can't wait to go back to Galway, and it might require a trip or 3 for us to go and inspect it and make sure it's up to standard for our guests there, Anthony and Lauren, before that time comes around again. I'm not going to turn down another trip to Galway.
Yeah.
A team meeting in Galway for a few nights.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Yeah,
I'm down.
We'll reveal more of the Galway itinerary, but we could have spent 7 nights in Galway, honestly, and have had the crack. We are conscious that with 7 days or 7 nights, the whiskey bus is restricted in terms of how long we can stay in one place if we want to experience as much of Ireland as possible. So we're going to spend two days in Galway. It's a great time. It's enough time to get the pints in, the whiskey in, the bit of crack, visit a few distilleries, and then we're going to get into the bus and we're going to keep going north, because the Wild Atlantic Way, which incidentally is the world's longest continuous coastal driving route, would you believe? World's longest continuous coastal driving route. It doesn't end at Galway. It keeps going further north, and we have plans to take you all the way out to Ireland's only island distillery.
We do indeed. I actually didn't know that, Barry. I knew it was one of the longest. I didn't know it was the longest. There you are.
The longest, yeah. I'm going to have to measure it in the morning with a trundle wheel.
We'll see you. We'll see you in 3 weeks. We'll see you on the whiskey bus too.
You passed me walking along the road with a trundle wheel. She's very long, all right.
See you in Dublin on the 19th. Good luck. Oh dear, yes. So after Galway, and just something you said there as well, Barry. Actually, when we're organising itineraries for the whiskey bus and for mainly the whiskey bus, but other experiences as well, it's nearly what you can't do. You know, there's so much to do and so much you want to include. It's nearly you have to focus on what you don't do and what you can't do more than what you can. For being a very small island, there's an awful lot to incorporate and an awful lot to see. Isn't that right?
Yeah, really. I know from the distilleries we're going to drive past on our upcoming whiskey bus, where people are going to be looking out the window and a distillery is going to be going past them, or we're going to be going past the distillery. Depends which is moving faster. But the question will be, why can't we go in there? And the sad question and the horrible thing we have to answer is, well, there isn't enough time, and there isn't. So we're always trying to figure out how to squeeze as much in, but we're also conscious that the human body, as it ages, is only capable of so much. And we discovered that, Anthony and I, on the last whiskey bus, where the two of us were dead for a few weeks afterwards. So we've got to balance what we can fit in with what we we just got to balance what we can fit in the week. So we're choosing a wide range to get a wide range of experiences.
Absolutely. So yeah, sorry, Anthony, go ahead. You were going to say something there.
Nothing, but just on that, Barry, I mean, that's the joy of doing what we do, and now with the Irish Whiskey Experiences Company, is that if we do miss out on anything, or if we do pass it, people can reach out to us at any stage and say, look, I'd love you guys to organise something for me, you know, maybe centering in Galway for 7 days. Let's see what we can explore from Galway. I mean, that's some of the bespoke experiences that we can design and build for people. I mean, that was always the plan of, you know, lending our expertise and lending our contacts and putting, you know, people in places where they wouldn't normally get. So that's what we want to be able to do. So there is that opportunity for people as well. You know, if they do feel that, you know, we are missing on something, then come back to us and say, look, I'd love you guys to organise something, a small family group, or, you know, a bigger group. We can do. I mean, we've played the idea out of doing a private whiskey bus for people of, you know, up to 30 to 40 people. So again, if there was a huge family grouping that wanted to do something like this, we're happy to put, you know, to lend our expertise to that and organise it for them. So they just got to reach out to us.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about some of those ways as well, that you can, if the whiskey bus is either too long or it doesn't meet your own kind of date availability, or you want a smaller trip, or you want to balance it with some golf, we've got loads of ways that we can get you to do amazing things with Irish whiskey. And every single day in the whiskey bus is almost like one of those experiences. And I think Achill Island here is a great example of this. If any of you have seen The Banshees of Inisherin, the movie, a good portion of that was shot on Achill Island, Keene Bay, one of the most famous beaches in Ireland. We're going out to visit a family-owned distillery, Irish American whiskey, Achill Island Distillery, the only island-based distillery distilling whiskey. There are some gin and vermouth distilleries on islands in Ireland, but this is the only whiskey distillery on an island at the moment, Achill Island. And we're going to have a great day out there with the McKay family, with Sean McKay and his family. We're going to taste some of their not yet released whiskies. We're going to get a private behind the scenes experience with the McKay family and a private tasting. And I've never been to Achill Island. Like, I can't wait to go see it.
Me neither. I haven't been. You have, Anthony, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah. So believe it or not, there's a little tie up there. The McKays are actually from Kilcurry, the home of JJ Sheehy's. So their auntie, a lady called Chris McKay, is actually my godmother. So there's a mad link if there was ever one. Yeah, genuinely. So Chris McKay is my godmother, and anybody who's been to JJ Sheehy's realised there's a small very significant picture photographed just as you come in the front door, and it's me and of my best friend at the time, a gentleman called Robert McKay. And Robert and McKay and myself were inseparable as kids. Unfortunately, Robert passed away at 13 years old. But yeah, so me and the McKay family have a long history, and I was only too delighted to bring the whiskey bus over to the McKays, because they are literally standing looking at Sean or David is like looking at Robert. It's really uncanny. They all have the family resemblance.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's what a connection. That's great. Oh, I'm delighted to hear that there's a tie in there. That's lovely.
That's amazing. You have a gorgeous photo in your house as well, Anthony, don't you? Of yourself, Katie, Jade, and Josh with your arms up in Achill, don't you? Isn't that?
Yeah, that was actually taken on Achill as well. Yeah, flying without wings, we called it. So we got it enlarged up to canvas, and we're standing out on Achill, and we call it flying without wings. The four of us standing on rocks with our arms extended, and cool things. Yeah, so we like Achill. Keem Beach, as Barry said. I mean, climb up to the cliff face above Keem. It is just, it's otherworldly. It really is. It is just, it's just fantastic place to be.
Lauren, we're going to stay in Westport. Do you want to put up some of the slides there with some of the details on Westport? I'll let you fast forward them there. So we're going to spend 2 nights in Westport before heading back down. So let me take this off the screen there, give you some space. All right. So
we'll be in Westport Plaza Hotel. So for the final 2 nights, this will be our home. So it's a gorgeous hotel. It also has a spa as well. So bring your trunks, bring your swimming gear, bring your spa gear. You can relax, you can chill out. Downtime in the hotel will be on another level in March. You'll need it. You'll need it to warm up when you're on the west of Ireland in March, in the middle of winter. So yeah, this will be our home for 2 nights. It's a gorgeous hotel, and then we've already chatted about Achill Island. Brilliant day ahead there, as Barry said, and then I'm actually so excited for this one, because the founder of Clare Island Whiskey, Carl O'Grady, the day that he has put together and the day that I've been working on him with is unbelievable. It is a jam-packed day. He will take us on a history walk. He'll talk about Grace O'Malley, Irish Pirate Queen, stories of Irish myth, the Great Famine, the Irish clan system. We'll stop for tea and coffee. We'll visit famine graveyards. We'll go into a beautiful bar on Clare Island as well, a sailor's bar for a feast of lobster and whiskey. He'll take us through some of their whiskies, and then we will actually be able to jump on the Dolphin, which is the boat that the whiskey is aged on. You can hear the story of the Dolphin, touch the casks. I just think the day, fair play to Carl, the day that he's got lined up for us is unbelievable. It'll be a really jam-packed day. We'll obviously get the ferry out to Clare Island and back again as well. So we've also incorporated a boat into this one. we've got many modes of travel. But yeah, fair play to Carl. Like he's dedicated a whole day to us, and this will be our final full day in Westport. So cannot wait for this one. I haven't been here either.
Clare Island is a beautiful place in Clew Bay. Just Westport faces it, is on the coast there, looking out at it. And Carl is one of these mad lunatics of Irish whiskey in the best way. There's many of them, and they're out there doing things that other people wouldn't even dream of doing, like putting barrels of whiskey on boats and letting them age and mature. And that's what he's done. And we're getting to try his spirit, his Clare Island spirits when we get out there, and it's an experience. It's obviously with Irish weather, March, west of Ireland, Atlantic gales beating on the west coast. We're going to be subject to weather permitting getting out to Clare Island. If we can't get out there, we'll get Carl to us somehow, and we'll do some other things in Westport. Westport is, I think sometimes it's off the tourist trail for international travellers, yet domestically the Irish go to Westport a lot. I've been to stag parties there and many visits to Westport, and You've got the beautiful old Westport House, which has got flamingos in it. You've got Matt Malloy's traditional Irish music pub, music 7 nights a week, inspired by, of course, the Chieftains. And it is a fantastic, crack-filled town. And Anthony, you've spent a bit of time there as well.
I do, yeah, I have. I mean, again, I think one of the first, shall we say, romantic weekends that myself and my good lady wife had perhaps would have been Westport. I remember it was just phenomenal. One of the places we eat at the time was the Towers. I know we've been talking to them as well and trying to incorporate them. The seafood down there, the fresh seafood. Anybody who knows me, I'm a mad foodie. You couldn't tell by the size of me, but I love tasting good quality, basic food. I mean, to me, that's where the flavor is. It's in the sort of the rudimentaries, the chowders, the stews, stuff like that. That's what they're good at. And over the West, it's no exception to it. So it's a lovely little place, all walkable, nice little small town itself, Westport town itself. So it's really easy to get around.
Now, this year we've factored in a few things into the timing of the Whiskey Bus. One was St. Patrick's Day itself. And the second thing we wanted to factor in was what else is going on in Ireland. If people wanted to extend their trip, if people wanted to do additional whiskey things beyond the Whiskey Bus, what could they do? And while we've structured our Whiskey Bus this in 2024, our first Whiskey Bus 2024, to incorporate what I think is going to be the biggest whiskey festival in Ireland. It is in my proud hometown of Cork. It is run by Laurie and Sonia O'Dwyer, who Laurie is host of Whiskey Chats podcast. And this year, they put on a fantastic inaugural Whiskey Fest in Cork, which maybe set the standard for what a first year of a Whiskey Fest should be. And they did it fantastically. And we're going to tie in with Cork Whiskey Fest. And Lauren, maybe you could explain what's going to happen.
Absolutely. So when we finish our week-long Whiskey Bus adventure on Friday, the 22nd of March, it's entirely up to yourselves if you join us what you do. So you can either end your journey there, we can bring you to Shannon, you can head back home. If you want to continue your adventure elsewhere in Ireland, that's absolutely fine. But as Barry said, one of the reasons we kind of positioned the Whiskey Bus at this time of year was so if you wish, you can continue on and incorporate Cork Whiskey Festival into your visit to Ireland. So we can either bring you to Shannon that Friday or we can bring you down to Cork. And Laurie, I was speaking to Laurie during the week. He has said that he is going to arrange, now the final details are of course still TBC, but Laurie has said that he will arrange a special Whiskey Bus tasting for us as part of Cork Whiskey Festival. So hats off to Laurie for doing that. He's also going to look in at discount for tickets as well. These are his words, not mine. Don't worry, he has promised us this. And it's also on a podcast as well, so we can't back out of it. So fair play to him. He's going to accommodate that for us. So I mean, I know you said last year, Barry, it's hard to believe it was in March this year. It was a fantastic festival. All of the big brands, main brands across Ireland were involved. There's a fantastic expo where it's similar to Whiskey Live Dublin, just of course on a slightly smaller scale. But all the main incredible brands across Ireland are involved, and it was fantastic. And it's all on one street as well. It's all on McCurtain Street in Cork. So it's really accessible. If you want to kind of do multiple tastings, multiple experiences as part of the festival, it's really easy to go between both of them as well. So absolutely, we can bring you south to Cork if you wish.
It's a jam-packed 7 days of experiences. It's going to be a whiskey meets culture, meets food, meets history on the west of Ireland and the Wild Atlantic Way. It is, to me, the best of Ireland outside of Cork. But if any visitor visits Ireland, I always tell them, as soon as you check the boxes for the tourist hotspots in Dublin, the Guinness Brew House and the Jameson Distillery in Bow Street, etc., and you've done those, get out of Dublin and head as far west as the road will take you. It'll take you 2.5 to 3 hours to get across the country. And when you get to the west of Ireland, that to me is real Ireland, authentic Ireland, music, tradition. It's just the best of it. It's absolutely, I could live in Galway, I could live in the west of Ireland in the morning if you force me to.
Would you choose? Can we get you to leave Cork?
Everyone has a price, Anthony. And for a price, I'm willing to leave Cork.
We're gradually prizing Barry out of Cork and further north. It's happening. It's a slow process.
Yeah, the only thing, Lauren, is there any castles for sale in Galway? I mean, that'll be the deciding factor. We can.
There is actually. I am familiar with one or two on the market currently, but should we say no more about them? A question from Chris: can the club members who aren't on the whiskey bus but find themselves the Whiskey Fest get in the group? Chris, if you're not on the whiskey bus, you won't get in with the whiskey bus tasting, but you'll certainly be part of whatever Cork Whiskey Fest activities you sign up for. And Laurie will be publishing those details very soon. I'm sure we'll see you in the pubs around Cork Whiskey Fest, which are for Cork, or for our Whiskey Bus number 2. You're going to be staying right in the heart of the Victorian Quarter in Cork, where all of Whiskey Bus, or all of the Cork Whiskey Fest takes place next year as well. So we'll definitely see you. There's no doubt about it. Definitely see you. This is kind of an overview of the 7 days of our Whiskey Bus 3. We're really proud of it, and proud of getting to showcase some of the best of the West. And I'm really excited that this goes live tomorrow. We're going to put this up for reservations, first come, first served. If you're on Whiskey Bus 1 or 2, we'd love to see you again. If it's your first time ever, we'd love to bring you with us. How it works, it's really simple. Oh yeah, first of all, this is what's included. Lauren put together these slides, by the way, not us. We wouldn't have given approval on those. Have we not got veto power on her slide creation? No.
I would have thought. Now I would have got. Actually, you look rather fetching there. So do I. Actually, they're good pictures, Barry. And she's drinking as usual. So I mean, that's about us. In the description.
Listen, I simply got given these slides from the last Whiskey Bus Shebeen presentation, and it was initially 2 chancers. Now it's 3 chancers. I had to incorporate myself in a way that I felt suitable with the theme. We're ourselves, we're natural. Anthony's pirouetting with the Whiskey Bus sign. Barry's flexing the guns, and I'm having a drink.
You know, one of these days I'll find guns to flex. But Lauren, I noticed that you have chosen this like perfectly in focus professional portrait of your drinking career, like makeup and hair has all been done in advance, and we're the poor Egypts that just got suddenly somebody took a picture while we were making a funny shape.
Listen, the way you put yourself together in the morning is none of my business.
I was going to say, in my defense, Barry, that's as good as I get. I don't get any better than that. Now, that's probably me at my best. So I'm happy with that. That's okay. I look good there. All
right. We'll leave it at that. All your purchases are going to be shipped home. 20 bottles of regular size whiskies will get home for you for the Whiskey Bus number 3. How the details of this look? It's €1,050 per person, which is probably index linked to the inflation over the last 2 years in terms of it's only slightly more expensive than the last Whiskey Bus 2. This time we're taking payments in euros because now we're an Irish company. Officially, we have Irish tax obligations, which are a little bit higher than the US. Irish value-added tax is included. For example, 9.5% of all of our revenue has to go back to the government in value-added tax before we're even taxed on revenue. But that money, 3 payments of €1,050 for our Whiskey Bus number 3. The first payment, if it's made tomorrow, will secure access to the Whiskey Bus. It includes all 7 nights, hotel, bed and breakfast, a number of dinners. It includes all your whiskey experiences, all the bus, boat and flatbed truck transport, however long that flatbed truck transport takes, all the driver tips, all the whiskey that you will drink. You won't pay for a tour, you won't pay for an experience, you won't pay for anything inside that. And also there are a number of surprises that we're incorporating into both Whiskey Bus 3 and Whiskey Bus 2. We're not going to tell you about them, but there's some new additions that the folks on Whiskey Bus 2 are going to see for the first time that will become a standard on all of our whiskey buses. So you're going to get a lot of value on this whiskey bus. And there's a single supplement to hotel prices are at a premium. We're trying to lock in rates now for next year. We can pair you up if you want to share with somebody else, as we're doing with this whiskey bus. If you don't want to pay a single supplement, by all means, we can put you with somebody else in a room, and that would allow you to keep the same rate. And the only thing that's not included, your flights, your travel insurance, which is essential, any additional drinks, because the 70 or 80 whiskies won't be enough for you. You have to pay for those yourselves. Any bottles you purchase, which we will ship home, but you pay for the bottles. And that's it. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern. We can't say fairer than that. We'll have a link that goes live on our website, irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. If you're interested at all, would you put an old "I'm interested" into the chat, or "this could be a thing for me," or "yes, definitely," or "stop trying to get me on a whiskey bus"? Whatever it is you want to put in there, let us know you're alive and kicking in the chat anyway, that you're still vertical somewhat. All right. That's the whiskey bus. Lauren and Anthony, what's your thoughts on the itinerary overall? Start with you, Lauren.
I think, honestly, for the price and for the access to the people that you have, it is unbelievable. And I know 7 days seems like a lot, but it's well worth it. Like the balance of free time, which we made a real effort to incorporate into the whiskey bus for this year, the balance of free time and experiences with distilleries and with brands is really, really nice. And I just think these experiences, you're not going to get them, as you said earlier, Barry, they're not on brand websites, they're not accessible to the general public. This is only through ourselves. And I think we've created a really, really unique itinerary. And I think it's a great way to showcase the west of Ireland and the brands that are woven into the fabric of the land out west.
Anthony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things is what Lauren just touched on there, is that there's so many, but there's other ways you can experience Ireland. You know, you can come here on your own and you can do the regular tours with, you know, any of the distilleries. Most of the distilleries have, you know, a tour that they can organize, and they'll talk you through how the process of whiskey is being made, and they'll tell you through the usual spiel. But these are experiences that you just can't get access to. So it's something that's unique. You're never going to experience this on a CIE bus tour. You're never going to experience this on a paddy wagon tour. These are things that are just unique to us. And so we're look, I mean, that was the whole goal of this. I mean, when me and you, Barry, stopped at the beginning of all this project, I said, what can we bring to this? And can we do it justice? And I think this tour is one of those examples where us doing it justice. It really is bringing the right balance of showcasing Ireland as good as it can be, but showcasing the whiskey and the brands and the people that are behind it, you know, as best as we can. So I'm really, really, well, it would have been better if me and you had organised it. I mean, I know Lauren had to have some input into it, but I mean, ultimately we have to trust her at some stage, seeing that she is the boss.
Let's be honest. If it was down to you and me, Anthony, we wouldn't be announcing March's Whiskey Bus in July.
Absolutely no. Actually, and here's the scary part is there is talks of Whiskey Bus 4 and beyond. 5, yeah. I'm impressed, Lauren. I am. Well, look, I will insist that you get paid this month. That's as good as I can make it. You know?
I didn't agree to that.
Okay, well, I'm just going to insist upon it. So that is the thing. One of the things that you did say, Barry, was that you said that the cost of it. I mean, I still think we're very, very good value for what it is. I mean, it's something unique. All your accommodations included in it. A lot of the food, either whether it be a lunch or a dinner, evening meal, is included in that. And then just moving people about so that they don't have to worry about the logistics of how do I get from A to B. It's all taken out of their hands. We look after them all. And they do get to experience some time with us as well. So that's the good thing.
We were looking today at some comparable Scotch experiences, and Anthony shared a link of a 3-day luxury whiskey train. Admittedly, it is the Belmond company that is super luxurious, but 3 days of a whiskey train in Scotland with a couple of speakers, £8,500 sterling, which is about $12,000 maybe for 3 days.
Yeah,
per person.
Yeah. So
I booked 3 seats for us. I hope you know for.
Yeah, I'm now talking to Dave O'Connell about a train, and that's the next thing that we're doing.
There is a conversation happening about a whiskey train. Let me tell you that there is. Let's talk a little bit more about the other experiences that we've rolled out tonight, many of which could be tacked on to the beginning or the end of a whiskey bus. If you found yourself in Ireland, they're available to people in Ireland, in Europe, also to, of course, our lovely American friends. And we've got an amazing range of experiences that we're launching with. We've got dozens more that are going to be rolled out over the coming months, weeks, months, and year. I think we've created, well, I don't know that I think anything. I know that I want to showcase Ireland in the best way at a level where people get access to, just like Anthony, you said already, these experiences you can't get anywhere else. So if you don't have 7 days in a bus, Lauren, we've put together some experiences that are anything from a few hours all the way up to a week, didn't we?
Yeah, so there's experiences that will take up an afternoon for you. There's experiences that might be 2 nights. We're working on experiences that are city-based that might be 2 or 3 nights. So you don't have to commit if you can't commit to the full Whiskey Bus week, or if you've already planned a trip to Ireland. There's so many of these trips that can kind of just be a segment of your visit to Ireland, and we'd be more than happy to look after that for you, and more than delighted for you to take part in one of those experiences. Absolutely.
A few of the experience I want to touch on these. We and we'll go into as much detail as people want on any of these, or if you have any questions on these experiences. We're launching with, I think, about a dozen inaugural experiences that range in price and time and duration, that cover a lot of these unique people, amazing places, fantastic pours that go with that we're lucky to have access to in the world of Irish whiskey. We talked about that day we're going to have on JJ Corrie, on JJ Corrie's farm with Louise as part of our whiskey bus. But Lauren, we're also, thanks to Louise, have packaged this up as an experience separate to the whiskey bus. So you could take that day, and now you could have actually a couple of experiences on JJ Corrie's farm. Do you want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so the Louise and the team at JJ Corrie have been brilliant in working alongside us and creating an experience which is very unique, and it's a great experience. It's a full packed afternoon, or one of the experiences it will be a morning and an afternoon. So you can go along to JJ Corrie on your own. You can either start that off in the morning, I think it's further down, Barry, with a horse ride in West Clare. So you'll have a horse ride meandering through the beautiful roads and back roads of West Clare over to the McGuan family farm. And then from there, Louise will guide you through a blending experience. So you will be trying cask samples. You'll see her 17th century warehouse. And I mean, JJ Corrie is really Ireland's first modern bonder, so you'll see her Bonder's blending room. You'll taste cask samples with the outcome of creating your own 500ml bottle, so it'll be completely customized to you, completely personal to you, that you're able to take away in occasions that Louise might not be available. I mean, and we'll kind of come on to this, a lot of these experiences we have to be respectful of the fact that these people have careers outside of us, and they're bonders and distillers and they're blenders before they're anything else. So if Louise isn't available, it'll be one of the McGuan family. So her dad often takes a lot of tours around the farm, and her cousin Caroline as well. But it's guaranteed to be an absolutely fantastic day. It's one-on-one time with Louise and with the family. You'll hear their story. And it's just a fantastic afternoon, and creating your very own JJ Corrie blend. So, yeah.
The goal with these experiences is to bring you places where you can't get to publicly. So I think Ireland has everything from a €20 tour when you rock up to Bow Street in Dublin and do the Jameson Distillery tour. And or it goes up and different options, different opportunities at the distilleries. What we were looking to do is say, well, look, we found the most crack, the most fun, the greatest pleasure over the past couple of years has been where there's amazing people who are doing amazing things. And sometimes they're so in demand that they're not available to the general public. They're not available to meet. They can't just be available. Like if you rock up to JJ Corrie, you'll see a sign that says, we're busy making whiskey and we're sorry that the gates aren't open. And we wanted to figure out, well, how do we get beyond the gates? And you look at some of these experiences and you might think, well, that's more than a €20 tour. And you're right, it is. And there's a reason for it, is because there's only so many opportunities in a year that we'll have these experiences. And that's because these are the only times we can get hold of people whose job is not to solely tour their facility, but also they're in the business of making a return on their whiskey, which they go around the world to do. So what we've done with each of these experiences, we've asked them, look, would you make this available to us 2, 3, 4 times a year? And they have. There's no dates attached to it. It's based on your interest, their availability, and we'll pair them up together. But it is a chance to get one-on-one time with some of the most sought-after people in Irish whiskey. And I think that's a market that is smaller, sure, than the mainstream. But for those who really want to spend time with people who they respect and look up to, we want a pathway and an avenue to do that. And I think it's important that the market has all options, don't you, Anthony?
Well, again, Barry, I mean, you know, I'm only not long back from, I was away in Scotland on the motorbike for a few days, and we stopped by a few of the distilleries. And again, I mean, you can imagine the company I was with at the time, him and myself wouldn't really be going in and listening to, well, this is our mash bill and this is a mash tun and this is our, process. So we're looking for something special. I mean, again, one of the entry-level ones was £600. So, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. We're essentially buying these people for a day. We have to say to these people, look, we're going to make it in your interest to be there. They realize there's a value to engaging with us, but we have to compensate them. And I mean, again, Louise, as we touched on for the Whiskey Bus 3, I mean, she has literally cancelled her tour to America to be with us on that. So she realizes the importance of doing this and doing this with customers of ours. So, I mean, she's not doing it for anybody else. There has to be a value attached to that. And I mean, we're always trying to find that, I suppose, that the happy position or that medium level between, what is affordable and what is the right compensation for doing experiences like this. And look, these are things you can't buy. So if they're truly priceless experiences, I mean, whatever price we put them is cheap.
I think the best of Ireland has to be showcased, and the best of Ireland happens to be it happens to command a price it deserves, and I suppose that's what we're working on at the moment. But we've options that we've lots of things going on, and in addition to a half day with Louise or with the team at JJ Corrie, we've also got things like 2-day experiences that combine 2 iconic at this stage County Down institutions. They're only in their short time that they've been in existence, they've become quite iconic, have developed a cult following. 2 Stacks Irish Whiskey and Killowen. We have combined the 2 of them in a 2-day fantastic experience that involves an overnight stay included in a stunning castle. Again, we're shoehorning castles in wherever we can get away with it, and think we can somehow get you to book it. We're going to put a castle in there. Killeavy Castle in County Down is part of our offering, where you're going to have 2 days in going between 2 Stacks for a unique blending experience, Killowen for a fantastic walk through the Mourne Mountains with Brendan Carty, the distiller and the founder of Killowen Distillery, cooking fish in the mountain on an open fire. That's the fish is cooked in Brendan's poutine. I mean, come on, back to the distillery, sampling Brendan's whiskies and poutine with him directly. You've seen the size of Killowen Distillery. I shared a tour with you during the week. It is as small as a hotel bathroom. It is a tiny location, and Brendan is not available to be doing tours year round. We want to put together an experience that gets you access to one of the most sought after distillers in Ireland at the moment, especially for his time. And that's an amazing 2-day experience. And I'm going to do this. I might just book this myself because I want that 2 days. I really do. Sunset cruise on Carlingford Lough included. That's amazing.
Like we came to the realization that it is not humanely possible to get a 52-seater bus to Killowen. It is literally impossible. So we had to incorporate Brendan and Killowen and the guys at Two Stacks in a different manner. And I think that it's a perfect way to do so. You know, if you did visit, you know, with us and came on a whiskey bus with us, that's a great bookmark experience, either before the main whiskey bus or after. And to build on your point as well, Anthony, I think you made a great point there. You know, you can walk in off the street and get the standard distillery tour, which is fantastic. It's great. There's a market for that. There's people out there who are still beginning their whiskey journey. They want to hear about mashing and fermentation and distillation. But we're also very aware that there is an audience, and we have an audience that are very familiar with the whiskey production process and everything that goes into making a whiskey, and want to kind of elevate that experience and go one further. And that's exactly what we're catering for.
We also are very conscious that there's lots of you want very specific experiences tailored to you, your family, your group, your budget, your times. Since we announced that we're putting together a whiskey experience company, and I know I've been getting these questions for a long time beforehand, we started getting a lot of messages asking, could we put together an itinerary? Could we help plan? Somebody's coming for 3 days. What should they do? Or, for example, somebody is coming next week. What can they do immediately? And there's some things we can help with, and there's other things we just don't have the physical resources to be able to plan out itineraries over social media or Messenger. And so what we want to do is figure out, well, how do we take care of people who want their own experience outside of the things we offer, and also want recommendations? So there's 3 things I want to talk about very briefly in relation to that. The first is your Irish Whiskey Trip Concierge. So if you do want us to weigh in, and when I say us, I mean Anthony, Lauren, or myself, to spend time with you to plan your trip, then we have a way to do that. Like, we have a way to make it part of our calendars so that we're blocked in, and we can give you hours of our time to help you plan the trip that we know we would take if we were in Ireland, or based on what we know about you and what you want to do, what we would recommend for you. So the Irish Whiskey Concierge Service is just a way of blocking 5 hours of our time. We'll help you plan it. We'll help you execute it. I mean, even when you're in Ireland, if you get stuck, you can reach out to us, even if you haven't booked one of our experiences, and we'll be able to help you when you're in Ireland as well. There's a need for it. There's a call for it. Look, we're not a travel agency that gets paid by any of these operators. Like, we don't make none of the distilleries and none of the experiences pay us to be listed. We seek them out and we pay them full rate for their service. We don't look for a discount. And so our model is a little bit different than a travel agency, in that we don't sit in front of a screen and say, okay, let me see what we've got for you. And we've got access to all these kind of commissionable trips. So we have ways to work with you one-on-one to plan out your trip. So that's the Whiskey Concierge Service. The other thing is, let's say you wanted a full week in Ireland, or 3 days, or a month in Ireland. What if we could help plan that for you? So similar to that travel agency model, what if we could help you book your hotels? What if we could book them all for you? What if we could book your transport? What if we could ensure there was a driver waiting for you at every stop, a driver at the airport? What if we could get you behind the scenes access in your favorite distilleries? What if we could get you all these experiences we're talking about, but over the course of a week or a month? So we have a bespoke whiskey trip where we can help plan your whole thing. The prices you see on the screen are just kind of placeholder prices. Your budget will dictate and determine what we can do for you. And then the third thing, and Anthony touched on it earlier, was your own very private whiskey bus experience. We've already had a request for this. What if your workmates, or 10 of you or 20 of you, or your local Irish pub all wanted to come to Ireland and wanted your very own whiskey bus, where you knew that everybody on the bus was people you knew? Then we can plan a whiskey bus for you. Just like we're planning a whiskey bus for 30, 40 individual people, we could plan a whiskey bus for one group where you know everybody else. And I think these are options that will be helpful to some people. Some of you just need something off the shelf, but I think some of you want something a little bit more planned as well. And Lauren, you've been getting some messages and queries about maybe helping with some of these things already.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as you've said, Barry, I think as well, we've talked about it before, there are means for you to access information without coming to us directly if you need. So there's the Irish Whiskey Fans of America group. There's the Shebeen every single Sunday with myself and Barry, and of course Anthony jumping on occasionally as well. Like that's the kind of free advice, I guess, that we can give you for if you're staying in a certain city or you need recommendations for particular distilleries in a county, whatever that might be. That's no problem. But to go above and beyond that, whether you want us to take an entire week, 2 weeks, 10 days, 3 days, whatever that might be, and take everything out of your hands in terms of transport, accommodation, distilleries, behind the scenes access, we can also do that as well. So certainly there's many channels in which you can access help.
Essentially, you're buying our time there. I mean, again, both myself, Barry, and now Lauren with her full-time job as being the boss of Anthony and Barry. You are buying the time for us to make the phone calls, to reach out to people. We are building, and I mean, again, we're still growing our network of hotels. I mean, again, we have contacts, thank God, in some of the most prestigious hotels in Ireland, so we can reach out to them at any time and sort of say, look, what's the chances of getting a room at such and such on such and such day? So, getting you into places that we mightn't be there ourselves, but at least we can open the door for you. So it's essentially us reaching out and open the doors in these venues as well. So I think all of them things just really are, gaining an insight or getting a helping hand from us, I think is the main thing on them as well.
Absolutely. And listen, don't be scared to come to us and tell us your budget straight off the bat, and we can work around that as best as possible. We're here to help you, and that's what we want to do. Ultimately, we want you to have the best experience imaginable in Ireland, experience in the country first and foremost, and then of course the distilleries and everything that comes with that as well. So don't be scared to communicate that initially, and then we can accommodate you as best we can.
Hang on, Barry.
Is he back?
I don't know, Mike.
Oh, my mic. There you go. I'm back. I put myself on mute there while I was typing a response. Reiterate a point about the pricing. The reality, like we're not interested personally in running a tour company that does massive paddy wagon tours full of stag parties at €20 a head. It doesn't appeal to me personally. Like, I've seen the best of Ireland, and I want to showcase it to everybody who's interested in the best of Ireland. And to that end, like, some of these things might seem like, wow, that's not your €50 trip or your €100 trip, or if I had 5 people, suddenly that's a €3,000 experience. You're right, it is. And it's still, I don't think, even doing justice to what that day gives or that half day gives. And I actually don't think it even properly compensates the people who are providing that experience, like the actual providers themselves, the distillers and the blenders. Saying that, the beauty of an evolving market is that it starts to establish price points at every level. Irish Whiskey went through that 2-3 years ago and it was JJ Corrie themselves. It was Louise McGuane that punched through a ceiling and launched, at the time, the most expensive Irish whiskey in our lifetime, a £6,000 bottle of The Chosen. Louise took a massive risk, and she was criticised heavily. She was praised on her corners. Today, now we have €50,000 bottles of whiskey. Louise played a role in setting a standard for what certain people want. And I don't think that all of our experiences are for everybody, and they shouldn't be, like anything. And I'm not trying to be elitist with this. What I'm trying to say is that there are amazing experiences in Ireland that I want to show you, from €20 to €20,000. Where we're looking to fill a gap right now that I don't think exists is those one-on-one private times with distillers and blenders that just aren't available to the general public. And if those are your thing, for example, I know people who are obsessed with Maurice O'Connell down in Killarney and the Liberator brand. The chance to spend an afternoon with Maurice eating crab sandwiches in the house on Lough Lean with Maurice and his wife is going to set their world on fire. And for that price, they'll say, give me 4 places instead of 2. And others will say, you know what? I'm obsessed with Dunville's, with Ecklenville Distillery, what can I do with you? And with Dunville's Necknaville, and we'll say, well, we've got something amazing that we'll talk about in a second up there as well. So I just want to reiterate that, like, price is subjective, and we're going to put ourselves out in the line of fire to those who say things are expensive by putting a stake in the ground and saying quality deserves to be paid for. But if it's not for you, we understand, and there's other things as well. And that's just my soapbox on pricing, and I kind of feel strongly about it.
True. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Okay. Richard asks, everything has two people. What about solo? It's a good question. So for some of these experiences, we can do it individually, but they're actually priced based on two people covering all the cost. So Richard, in some of these experiences, it might be a double cost. If you want a private takeover of Ecklinville Distillery on your own, as you'd imagine, to shut down a distillery, to close the gates behind you, to give you private access individually, will be more expensive than us doing it for 6 people, because you can't spread the cost to anybody else. Saying that, if you have a date available that you want to share that time with, we might be able to put it out there and say, does anybody want to join Richard on a trip? Lauren, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the best way, Richard, would be genuinely just message us, just ask us, and we'll see what's possible and what we can do for you. Absolutely.
I want to talk about a couple of other amazing experiences coming up here. These two especially, and our own Anthony Sheehy here is the star of one of these experiences. And those of you who are on Whiskey Bus 1 got to experience the wonderfully calm environment of JJ Sheehy's pub, where everything goes to plan at all hours of the day and night. Well, now you too can participate in this calmness by having your own whiskey pub for a night. Anthony's going to throw the keys at you as he checks into the Ritz-Carlton in London for a weekend with Katie. What's going to happen here, Anthony?
We thought, what's the point in having a pub if we don't share it? And I mean, one of the reasons for buying JJ Sheehy's initially was, what can we do with it? How can we spread, spread the word of Irish whiskey about it? How cool would it be? And how many people dream of having their own pub for the night, come in and learn how to pull a pint properly, not like Lauren. We can get Lauren to teach people how to pull bad pints as well if they want. I mean, that's always available. We can do bespoke things. But I mean, again, one of the things was, have the pub yourself. Everybody who's ever seen it realizes it's only a small little place. I mean, 25 people in here, the place is full. But can you imagine having a private party, 25 of your closest family and friends? You've come to Ireland for a big celebration. How about having your own pub for the night? I mean, how good would that be? You're not going to get this anywhere else. This is literally one of one in Ireland. It is a unique experience. It is a working, pub the rest of the time. But I mean, we'll close the pub for the night for you if we're not already closed. But we'll close the pub for the night for you. Me and Katie will be here and to help out. But there's the draft will be at you can come in behind the bar, pull your own pints, serve your own whiskey. I mean, how good is that going to be?
There may be some walls that need painting, some windows that need cleaning. There might be some lawns that need to be cut. Anthony will give you all the tools needed to upkeep the pub.
Yeah. I don't. My cocktail skills aren't very good. What we can do, and again, I don't think I've even shared this with my two pals yet, is we can get guest bar staff in. So I know for a fact, if somebody wanted Seamus Og in here for cocktail night, we can get Seamus Og in here for cocktail night. If we wanted Beardy Dave, I mean, Dave Cummins standing behind the bar, serving you a pint of stout. I'm happy. I'm happy doing that.
If you wanted musicians, we can add musicians. We can bring local musicians in to play for you. We'll put €1,000 behind the bar for you to spend it at a will. There's every number of things we can do with this. Just message us if at all of interest, and we'll figure out a plan for you. With these experiences that are group related, if you are one person or two people and you think, well, I don't want to do it on my own, well, you could get a group together fairly easily if you told them you had a pub to yourself for the night. You'd have more friends than you ever knew you had in your life.
But also think about Christmas parties as well. Think how fun that would be. I mean, you know what it's like around Christmas, whether you're in Ireland or whether you're over in Ireland from the US at that time of year. It's so difficult to get places for a large group of people. It's nearly impossible. You have to start kind of booking places and inquiring about places in September. So imagine having a whole pub to yourself. You can request which whiskies you want. We can make that happen. If you're not sure what whiskies you want, we'll select them for you. It's unbelievable. Why wouldn't you?
My selection of whiskey is available to everybody who books the pub for the night. So they can choose from that should they wish, which anybody who knows me knows that I've got 1 or 2 bottles. We can incorporate a brand with that as well. So if you wanted a specific brand behind the bar that night, we can incorporate, just make Dunville's available or just make Green Spot available, or, we can do any of these things. We can literally tailor this to exactly what you want it to be. And that's, again, the joys of having, 1, the Irish whiskey experience behind you, and then 2, us here owning our own pub. So it's all them things.
I think it's amazing. And the chance to get the door closed behind you, you're locked into your own pub, you get your very own lock-in within regular licensing hours. Thank you, Gardaí. You get access to Anthony, and like you said, his own whiskey collection. Like, there isn't a whiskey in Ireland that Anthony doesn't have access to. He shifts more whiskey than most distilleries do in a month. And that man, what he doesn't know about whiskey or doesn't have access to isn't worth knowing or isn't worth drinking. So this is an amazing thing. As Anthony says, it's not available anywhere else. And that's because there's only one JJ Sheehy's and there's only one Anthony and Katie. And so if you want to get access to them, you got to go. Sadly, you have to go to Dundalk, but those are the prices you might have to pay to get there. One of the downsides.
You knew that was going to happen. Also, we haven't mentioned a really important aspect of this. We will also provide transport to and from a nearby hotel. So you don't have to worry about driving there. If you do drive there, you can leave your car. There's plenty of parking space around the back of the pub as well. But we will provide private luxury transport to a nearby hotel and an overnight in there as well if you require it. I think that's very key when you're drinking in a pub for an entire night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a million miles away from JJ Sheehy's pub, probably an hour and maybe 15 minutes drive north from JJ Sheehy's will take you to a location, a distillery that has become very close to many of us, Ecklinville Distillery on the Ards Peninsula, home of Dunville's whiskey, where we were lucky enough to get access to our 19-year-old single malt one whiskey release ago in Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. Many of you have gotten to know Jarlath Watson, director and really global face of Dunville's and Ecklinville Distillery. Seamus Ogue as well, brand ambassador, who was on our live stream for Stories and Sips. We've done something with Dunville's that has never been done before. This is, I'm going to let Lauren explain it because to her credit, Lauren has worked on this and I don't want to steal the thunder. But all I'll say to lead into this is that it takes a lot to shut down a distillery. It takes a lot to get access to the people who run the distillery. It takes a lot to say, we want all of your time for a night, and here's the mad idea we have for it. Would you be interested? And all I can say is that Ecklinville Distillery said yes to everything. Lauren, this is the home run.
I mean, credit to where credit is due. The guys at Ecklinville are just so easy to work with. They welcomed our idea and our madness with open arms, and I have so much respect for the team there, for Peter, for Jarlath, for Seamus Ogue. That what they do is unbelievable, and just the passion which just exudes from them is second to none. So the experience we have at Ecklinville is we will have private access to their distillery after visitor hours. So nobody else will be there. You will have the entire warehouse to yourself, the whole site to yourself, which is just unbelievable on its own. So again, what can be arranged around this is your own private transport. We can put you up in a hotel in Belfast, which is about an hour away. So that can all be arranged outside of this to make it as easy for you as possible, and so you can enjoy a whiskey, of course, when you're there. So you'll be greeted on the site at Dunville's with a cocktail on arrival. You will then make your way into the warehouse, which is pictured there. Their beautiful warehouse with an array of unbelievable casks. We all know Dunville's are savage with their sherry cask management in particular. You'll be joined by a storyteller who will join for the first half of the evening. They will tell you tales of County Down, poaching distilling in the area. Of course, we know it was so prominent in the area, has unbelievable history of producing poaching in the Mourne Mountains. It's a very inaccessible area, which kind of gave way to poaching distilling in the mountains themselves. So while the storyteller is enchanting you all with many tales, you'll be enjoying cask samples drawn direct from the casks in front of you in the warehouse. And then the part which just sets my heart on fire is dinner in the still house. So you will dine privately. This can be from 2 people up to 8 people. If you have more people interested, we can certainly chat to the team at Ecklandville about that. They would nearly bend over backwards for us anyway, we're so appreciative of that. So in the still house, we'll bring in a private caterer for the evening. You'll get canapes on arrival into the still house, and then you'll sit down underneath or beside the copper glow of the pot stills, and you'll enjoy a 3-course dinner paired with the Dunville core malt range, which is incredible. Jarlath will be there. Jarlath has offered up his time for us, which we're so grateful for. Seamus Oak will be on site as well, to keep you satisfied with all the Dunville's cocktails. And then before you go home, on behalf of ourselves, we'll also gift you with a bottle of Dunville's 21-year Palo Cortado to take home. And that is just an unbelievable experience, if we do say so ourselves. And again, hats off and shout out to the team at Ecklandville. Probably the easiest distillery I think we've ever worked with. Absolute gentlemen, all of them.
Anthony, there are no words, but you'll find some.
Look, I know Jarlath. I would consider Jarlath a good friend, and I know that he just goes above and beyond in everything he does. So when we were originally speaking to him about this, he was all on board. I was talking to him today about this, and sort of said, are you happy enough that we go ahead and we launch all this? Just confirming it all. And again, it's just me and him chatting. Our problem is going to be stopping Dunville's rolling out the red carpet, and it really is going to be that. I mean, they just go above and beyond. He's talking today about Chesterfield Suites down in the warehouse with drawn whiskey samples, and you're just going, Jarlath, that's just extreme. He's now actually, sorry, Lauren, to contradict you, but he's now elevated to a 4-course meal. He's talking about wine with it. He's talking, and I'm sort of going, Jarlath, if they're tasting cask samples, getting cocktails on arrival, you were talking about champagne on arrival. I mean, we want these people to leave relatively sober, not in the back of an ambulance. So can we just sort of tolerate it? We one of the things that we can do, we can facilitate, transport from Belfast. Anybody who is on Whiskey Bus. Now, we can't guarantee that we'll have Nigel to drive the bus from Belfast to Ecklandville, but we can also organise, private transfers. We can organise helicopter transfers. Jarlath was talking about, where to land helicopters, and I'm just going, just hang on till we find out what we need to do. So they just want to go above and beyond. I think it really does showcase Dunville's as being one of the most engaged brands out there. It really does. I mean, they want people to taste what they've made. They put love and time and passion into, and they want people to taste it, and whatever they have to do, they're willing to do that. So it's deadly there.
some of these experiences, and I would put Dunville's up there with this, is you're getting access to distilleries at the earliest time in their lifespan, like in the sense of Dunville's is going to blow up in the coming years.
Yep.
Massive distribution deal just announced for the US. They haven't even released a drop of their own whiskey, which is 9 years plus aging away there. Ecklandville Distillery is going to be one of these places where there'll be lines from all up the Ards Peninsula back to Belfast again for people trying to get in the door. All I'm saying is, if you wanted to tie this onto a whiskey bus trip, let us know. We can bolt it on before, after, the days before, the days afterwards. Or if you're in Ireland anyway, we can add this on. It's a day-long experience, a half-day experience, 3, 4, 5 hours on site. It could go on. But again, I wish these experiences had been available when I was first getting into whiskey, that I could ask the questions I wanted directly of the people who made the whiskey, so I could learn more. I could get to meet them. And it's just, look, you're bypassing the queues, you're bypassing the general public, you're getting past everything else to get the most exclusive experiences. And that's just an amazing, that to me is just amazing. Blows me away.
Jarlath was one of the first people that I met when I started my journey as ambassador. And honestly, it was probably, I think I was about 2 months in, doing my first really, really big tasting in Belfast, and I was absolutely petrified because it was probably the biggest crowd at that time that I'd done a tasting for, and he was just the most humble, most supportive man in the room that night as well. He's one of the most humble and most respected men in the industry, and to say that you can sit at a table with him in his distillery and have a bit of food with him, it's just unbelievable. Like, it really is.
We have, in addition to dining at Dunville's and shutting down the Ecklandville Distillery, we've got a couple of other experiences worth kind of touching on really quick, and also some of the things that are coming soon. And again, if you have any questions, please throw them in there into the chat, and we'll get them. One of the experiences which modesty almost prevents me from talking about it, but I'm sure I will go ahead anyway, is Barry on a boat. And we are going to have Lauren on the Lee experience in Whiskey Bus 2, where Lauren's going to host a whiskey tasting from Cork City down to Cork Harbour and back up again. And I'm going to try and emulate. I'm never going to equal, but I'll at least try and pay homage to Lauren. But I'm going to do a similar experience ad hoc available to you, whether you're one person, Richard, or 40 people or up to 70 people we can take on the boat. I'm going to take you down Cork Harbour. I'm going to take you, when I say I'm going to take you down there, I'm going to point in the general direction of where that boat should go. I'm going to let the captain do the rest of it. But I'm going to pour whiskey. I'm going to talk about Cork's history. I'm going to talk about the history of the whiskies. And if you want to book out a private charter of a boat, I'm going to host the tasting with you. So next time you come to Ireland, you want your own private experience that you'd like me to host, Barry on a boat, that's your answer. Give us a shout if you want to be part of that. There's a couple of other things, though, that I want to talk about. One was, the coming soon experiences. So many of the things we have planned will take months. Some of them will take more than a year to plan. Some things will take weeks to plan. But over the next few weeks, you're going to start to see more experiences rolled out. We're going to start marketing these and sharing these with a global audience of whiskey fans outside of our own community here. All I'll say is that if any of these things interest you or any of our current experiences interest you, my recommendation is just message us to start talking about dates, because some of these things, once they're gone, there's only 2 of them a year, they'll be gone. Other experiences will be more available, but some of the things we're working on right now, a silent distillery experience, like a chance for you to spend a day with Kevin O'Gorman in Middleton Distillery, tasting 4, or depending on the time of when you do it, could be 5, could be 6 different silent distilleries. And not only that, we'll actually give you a silent distillery to take home. In fact, we might give you 6 of them to take home. Now, we may be talking about a mortgage payment to get this done, but it is an option. And if only we knew somebody in the whiskey auction business who could help facilitate that, we could make it happen. Luckily, we do. We're also planning some weekend adventures. So weekends out of Dublin, weekends out of Cork, weekends out of Galway in different directions. We have a whiskey weekend in plans for Donegal, Dublin to Donegal. We have a whiskey weekend in plans for Dublin to where else? Is it Belfast, Cork to Belfast? We've got a Dingle weekend planned. We have a Redbreast Dream Cask experience where you might get a chance to taste every single one of the Redbreast Dream Casks in the company of the master blender from Middleton Distillery, Billy Lighton. That is an option for you that we're exploring right now. If you want to drop into 4 distilleries in a day, we have helicopters and we can help you do it. If you want to join us on Whiskey Bus number 4, which is tentatively scheduled for July in 2024. We're going to start planning a trip to the Hidden Heartlands. Think about Kilbeggan, think about Kennedy Castle, think about Tullamore Dew. A lot to see. Think about Loughree Distillery, the Shannon River. It's all there in the heartlands of Ireland. We've also got a weekend in Killarney that we're working on right now. We've got a Whiskey Bus number 5 we're working on that'll take you to Belfast and County Down. And we may have a week-long whiskey cruise in the Caribbean right there that we're thinking about / actively pursuing at the same time. So there's lots in planning right now. We're only just putting a stake in the ground to say, let's open the doors. Anthony and Lauren, I'll give it to you.
We're not really that busy. I feel like we could do a bit more, couldn't we?
We could. Probably could. You could anyway.
I know. I was just about to say that. Yeah, I think that's in your job description, Lauren. I think that was part of it. Look, I think there's the world is our oyster on these things. I mean, there's so many things that we want to actively promote. There's so many things that we want to actively do. I mean, you know, even when we spoke about the Dreamcast one, I mean, the chance to taste all 6 Dream Casks with the guys who put it together is just whatever it costs. It's cheap. It's unbelievable, and they are going to be probably one of the most collectible Irish whiskies coming. We can see the writing on the wall with the prices the way they've gone. The Silent Distillery one, I mean, yeah, whatever. I can't talk about that.
Now, we have to preface the Silent Distillery experience by saying, if you thought the JJ Corrie experience was pricey, allow us to introduce you to a $200,000 experience. Yeah. Where again, I want to elevate Irish whiskey, and I want to show people who have an interest in that. Look, there are people going to Macallan. There are people who are landing in Edinburgh in private jets from Hong Kong, from New York, from LA. We know the stories. They're landing. They're being picked up in Rolls Royce, and they're being brought to Macallan, and they're filling the Rolls Royce, and they're bringing it back to the private jet. I'm not saying that's the market we're appealing to, but all I'm saying is that there exists different strata and different levels of interest, where if Ireland doesn't offer different tiers of access, of experiences, of whiskey, we're going to be left behind by Tennessee and Kentucky and the Highlands and Islay and the Lowlands, and I have no interest in being left behind. If my name is attached to Irish whiskey, I want Irish whiskey to be the best, and I think the three of us have the same mentality.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Thanks, Jennifer. Hats off to what you put together here. Very impressive and truly unique. Well done. That's very kind. Much appreciated. Look, we are the first to say we're new to this. We have an unbelievable passion. We have an unbelievable and an unwavering belief in the makers and the producers in Ireland. I've been involved in many businesses over the years. I've never been more excited to get up in the morning and spend my day working on anything than I have been working on the last few months with Lauren and Anthony on Irish Whiskey Experiences. That I get to do this alongside Stories and Sips and work with the most amazing club members. It's just a dream that we get to showcase the best of Ireland in these different ways. And it's just the most exciting thing. There's so much here. Like, I have to hold Lauren back sometimes. She's like, I want to speak to this person. I'm having a meeting with them about this. I'm like, okay, Lauren, can we first figure out how to take payments on the website? And they said, okay, all right. But like that's how excited we are. There's a lot out here for us to do. We're not going to appeal to everybody. And I acknowledge that some of these things are not for every pocketbook. They can't be. It's just the nature of it. It's just the nature of it. We've chosen to focus on this end of the market, and we're going to knock it out of the park, not because we're better than anybody else who does it, but because we're going to outwork everybody and we're going to be more passionate than everybody else. And that's it. I think the three of us have the same beliefs.
100%. I mean, like at my heart, I'm a people pleaser and I love people. And one of the thing that makes me happiest is when you see someone experience something that just blows their mind, and the smile on their face when they leave a certain place, a certain distillery, or whatever it might be, a certain tasting, which I've been doing for the past nearly 10 years. That's what gets me up in the morning, and that's what keeps me going, is just making people happy, showcasing Ireland, showcasing the liquid of our land, and just that wow factor. Absolutely.
A lot of fun ahead.
We've put together some serious packages. We've put together some really, I mean, some of the other conversations we're having is about, making it for Irish people as well. I mean, that's one of the things we do want to say, is that we're going to have packages for, locals, just a 3-day weekend thing up to Galway or to Donegal or to wherever we may be. But I think one thing that's going to shine through in everything we do is, one, we're going to do it right, but two, we're going to do it with a bit of crack. And I mean, Barry talked about the crack economy. So how much better is it going to be to do experiences like that and having people like us on the end of a phone or involved with it and seeing what we can do? So it's going to be special.
These two people here, Anthony and Lauren, I'm very lucky to work with both of you, and like two better people. We have such different approaches to this. Lauren, you mentioned this during the week on one of our calls, like how you got to observe now as the newbie, how different you are to me and I am to you and me to Anthony. Like there's three very different personalities, but that common underlying thing is, if we say we're going to do it, we'll move heaven and earth to make sure that happens, and it'll happen. We will not let you down.
It's been so interesting to observe how differently each of us work. It really is. It's so funny. It's kind of like me and Anthony are very much sure, it'll be grand, believe in it and it'll happen. And Barry's like, lads, will you focus on one thing at a time? But it all works. Like it genuinely does work. I think we have three very unique personalities, but they all come together, as you said, Barry, with a shared goal, which is the most important thing. Just on your point there, about the kind of experiences for the Irish. Irish people are terrible at visiting our own island and places on our own island. I think that's very safe to say. Like when you get a week's holiday or a few days off, you get out of the country. 9 times out of 10, people don't actually experience the island, which is a shame. And until I started my ambassador gig and I was on the road all the time, I had actually also seen very little of Ireland. So it's really nice that we're kind of facilitating people to see more of their own island, but also incorporating whiskey into that as well.
I'm just very excited. I'm giddy. Like I'm just very giddy. Like this is just. Imagine this is our jobs. Like this is great. Like
sorry, Anthony.
I'm just laughing at Lauren going about how different we are in the approach, and so I'll share with the people a story. Our group chat the other day was, what are we doing about such and such? And we're all like, yes, well, we'll such and such. And next minute it was, but we could do this. And we're all way off on about 4 different tangents. And within, I would say, 30 minutes of that call, of that message, we had about 3 different things booked, and we were all coming back. And Barry was just like, focus, lads, focus. Now, you need to be serious. And we're going, yeah, but don't look at. Oh, look, we're there, we can do that.
Look at this. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
It was crazy. And I'll tell you what that story was. It was us having a discussion about the whiskies we're going to serve on the boat on Whiskey Bus 2. And Anthony's response was, have you seen that train over there? And I went, what? And then Lauren said, oh, look. There's have you heard about that distillery opening? I said, lads, I just want to know what whiskies we're serving on the boat. Can we have other conversations later? Anyway, I think if it was any other people, you'd go, how are we going to work together? But because we know each other and love each other, because we got to know each other, we just know it's grand. Like we're going to get it. Like it'll figure itself out.
Two comments that have just come in there. Greg had said squirrels. If anyone's seen the movie Up and Doug the dog, that is exactly what Greg is like. Oh, squirrel. No ADHD here, Tom. Very true.
I can't even spell ADHD.
I think, do you know what though it all boils down to? It's just genuine excitement. It's like this is still so new. We're still figuring things out as we go along, but like the passion's there. And when you see an opportunity, you might be out and about somewhere, you might be chatting to someone and think, that's a great idea, we could do something there. And it's just these bouncing these ideas off each other is exactly how the website has come to be what it is today. And also, just to point out, I'm seeing a lot of interest in the Belfast weekend. So that makes my little heart happy.
But I don't think that it's going to win. And I mean, again, I think the proof is in what we've done to date. I mean, we're coming up, Irish Whiskey Auctions is coming up in 5 years. I still get a buzz out of the auctions every month about what's coming in. Barry still's getting a buzz out of Stories and Sips. I mean, he's been now, sharing his passion about Irish whiskey for nearly the same length of time as Irish Whiskey Auctions. The pub is a year old. You done your job for 10 years. And I don't think anybody could ever accuse you of being, fatigued with your job after 10 years. So I don't think it's the age-old, the phrase of, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's apt for us all in what we do. And how good is it that we get to share our passion, our love, and other people's love and passion for what they do with the people? I mean, come on, it's great.
There are very few people in this world who can say that they genuinely love their job. And we're very lucky that all three of us can say that we genuinely love what we do. So we're very blessed.
So look, folks, that's Irish Whiskey Experiences. That's our Whiskey Bus 3 tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Irish time, 8 a.m. Pacific Coast time. We're going to go live with a reserve my place button on the Whiskey Bus 3 page. So today you don't see a button. Tomorrow you'll see a button at that time. And if you're interested at all in traveling with us on Whiskey Bus 3, click on that button and follow the instructions. Or if you have other thoughts on dates and times and experiences or things you want to be part of, just message us. You'll see all the details on our website, irishwhiskeyexperiences.com. It's all there. It's going to be a big part of our lives, the three of us going forward. It's not going to take away from the things we're already doing. Anthony's got a focus on Irish Whiskey Auctions. I've got a focus on Stories and Sips. We're lucky to have Lauren in place to run Irish Whiskey Experiences. At some point in the future, we'll pay her for all of this. Right now, she's just going to do it for just the privilege of hanging out with a two-time icon of whiskey winner here and Ireland's leading auction house operator, Anthony Sheehy.
This is what I have to put up with on a daily basis.
I have of late, and I mean in the last couple of hours, come to realization that Irish Whiskey Experiences is now the only icon of whiskey led whiskey experience company on the island of Ireland. So can we put that somewhere on the website, Lauren, please? Run by icon of whiskey.
You have to remember that we're so unique there probably won't be a category for us to win awards in.
Look, be so good, they have to create a category for you. Folks, you've given us some suggestions of things to do. If you have ideas on other trips or experiences, let us know. But for now, I think, look, we've been 2 hours talking about things we're trying to do. unless there's any other questions that we can answer for you, we'll probably sign off here and end our night tonight, so that we can get enough sleep to be ready tomorrow to take your queries on Whiskey Bus number 3. But we would love to welcome you to Ireland in whatever format, whether you've got trips planned, whether you want us to plan a trip for you, or we've given you enough excitement for you to come to Ireland and join one of our experiences. We would die knowing that there was a bad word said about us out there. So we live our lives making sure that people have amazing experiences, and that never will a bad word be said about things we do. And that's Googleable. That is, you can search all of our details, and we go to major lengths to make sure that that you get what you deserve when you work with us. So look, that's all we can say for now. Let me see, quick few questions there. Roy, any info on the blind tasting coming up? There is, Roy. I'll send an email during the week. So that's the Stories and Sips. We've got 2 tastings coming up. One is a blind tasting, one's a Waterford whiskey tasting. We're trying to figure out which one comes first. I'll know during the week, but I'll let you know. It's going to happen in the next few weeks. And it might even happen on one of the nights we're on the Whiskey Bus. I might be popping home to host a wee tasting, folks. So, Lauren, you're going to be running that end of night, midnight on session. So, yeah, look, that's it. Exciting adventures lined up, says Greg. Well done. Folks, many familiar faces in the comments there. Thanks so much for all the support that you provided us through Stories and Sips, through Irish Whiskey Auctions, Bush Mills when Lauren was there, and through Stories and Sips and Irish Whiskey Experiences. We're only getting started. I get more excited about this by the day. So hopefully you see the passion and you'll join us on some journey at some point, whether it's a full whiskey bus or a few hours. We'd really love to have you. But other than that, I think we'll go to bed.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone.
Sinead, thanks everybody. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. Slán, everybody. Cheers.